live and direct from anywhere in the world. It's The Kelley Show with Dr. Kelley Mondesire.
Hello and welcome back to The Kelley Show, real people with real stories in real time. And I am Dr. Kelley Mondesire, your host of The Kelley Show. Well, this month, the month of April, we are delving and diving, notice I said diving, into the wonderful world of agriculture and aquaculture. But more importantly, we're talking about the state of global agriculture and where does our food come from and some of the issues that we're facing as a global economy and as humanity deals with food shortages, food insecurities, and how we can battle climatic changes and changes in the environment in general. What is the future technology of where are we going to get the food that goes on to our plate? And today I have a very, very special guest. This is a superstar, rock star in the world of agriculture, aquaculture, and funding, who's going to come on and tell us all about it. So stay tuned. We'll be right back from a word from our sponsor, and I'll introduce you to him. Be right back.
This portion of The Kelley Show is being brought to you by White Wolf Advisory Services. We are the bridge between nations, creating growth, commerce, and collaboration between cultures. Contact us today for more information.
Welcome back. And today I have to tell you, I am honored and privileged to have a superstar on today's show. And I have to read this gentleman's bio because it's quite outstanding. You're in for a treat today. Mr. Ernest Papadoyianis has more than 30 years of successful business development and management experience in a diversity of industries. He has personally founded over 20 businesses, including the first public company in the U.S. aquaculture industry, and has held positions as chairman, executive officer, and director of both public and private companies, as well as appointments to the boards of many industry groups and associations. In 2006, Ernest was invited to the United Nations FAO in Rome, Italy, to speak on sustainably agriculture, and was nominated as the president of the International Forum of Sustainable Proteins in 2007, was an invitee to the International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna, Austria. Ernest has developed a large network of capital sources and secured venture capital and government grants and loans from many companies, and has provided services to a variety of corporate and governmental agencies in the United States, Europe, South and Central America, and the Caribbean. His business and technologies have been featured on the Discovery Channel, National Geographic Explorer, the Wall Street Journal. He prides himself on being a dynamic, results-oriented leader and builder of successful development teams in both startup and growth stage companies. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers, it's my privilege and honor to welcome to The Kelley Show today, Mr. Ernest Papadoyianis. Ernest, please come into the studio and thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm very well, Kelly. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, that's quite the pedigree.
Well, thank you. It's been a long time coming.
Well,
learning by mistakes.
Well, thank you for that, my friend. So, Ernest, let's start out with, where are you from and where in the world are you right now?
So I'm originally born and raised in Boston. Did my education in upstate New York at Union College and a graduate degree at Northeastern University in Boston. And now I'm located in South Florida in the Delray Beach, Boca Raton area, where I've been for about 35 years.
Good for you. Good for you. And for our viewers out there who have never heard of aquaculture, can you please explain what that word means, what is going on with aquaculture in terms of where it plays and its positioning in the umbrella category of agriculture?
Sure. So aquaculture by definition is really just the controlled production of aquatic animals and plants. So it encompasses everything from fish, shellfish, seaweeds, etc. So everything in between. And this photo is where my career kind of got started. We owned a large-scale fish farm and developed it in South Florida, where we produced hybrid striped bass for the seafood industry, which we sold up and down the eastern seaboard, from Key West up through Canada for over 10 years. So we had a very successful farm, which again was featured, all over the world because of the quality of our product. And so aquaculture today, fast forward, has become, a staple with our fisheries declining as such. But in any event, agriculture and aquaculture have kind of gone hand in hand in terms of mass production. So anytime you get involved in mass production, we tend to see degradation slightly of quality. And so the smaller farms, smaller fish farms, smaller farms, now local farms, have kind of picked up that ball and run with it in terms of producing local high quality products. So our hope for the future is that we bring both capital and technology into farming to help not only produce more food, but frankly, produce a more quality food, because that's really been an issue, especially in the United States.
Well, speaking of the future and technology, you and I have had a conversation about one of the projects you're involved with right now that's absolutely fascinating. Would you share what you can about this technology, who's behind it, what its mission is, and how it all works? Because it's mind-blowing. It's so incredible. Please do share.
It really is, Kelly. I've been I work with a lot of young entrepreneurs and technologies, and this one really just blew me away to the standpoint that I've become involved in it as an officer and director and shareholder, because I was just so impressed with the potential this technology has. I was fortunate on a funding platform that I speak on to meet an amazing young entrepreneur and bioengineer scientist named Josh Van Zak. And Josh is the founder of EcoPhilic Corporation. Through his research, what Josh has done from 30,000 feet is he's cracked the code of two-way communication between plants and human beings. So he's developed through what's called a large language model, a supercomputer, the ability to detect a plant's bioelectronic signals given off through the roots that says, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, I'm under attack, my fruit is ripe, and convert those into human language that the farmer and the computer understand, and then convert that back to a second technology that he's developed, which is called Plant IV, which is a small microneedle patch that actually acts as an IV system into the plant. So it attaches to the plant, it absorbs humidity out of the air, as well as fertilizers that are preloaded, and it directly injects them or IVs them into the plant. So there's zero waste. So it's the same as a human being eating food for a week or a month to get the same amount of nutrients and waste that you would sitting in a chair and getting an IV system, which goes directly into your system. And so
I have a provocative question, if I may interrupt. Sure. I'm sorry, but I'm visualizing a farm and rows of, like you just say, it's rows of collards, okay? And if the plant is if the seeds are set in the soil, where in the process does this technology come into play, from seed to germination to a young sprout? And is there something implanted into the plant then? And how does this work? Can you take us from the seed to mature plant? This is fascinating.
Sure. Great question, Kelly. So the primary technology that Josh has developed in EcoPhilic is a synthetic root system that's called Root AI. That's
Wow.
the trade name of it. And he has taken, it's a complex technology, but to simplify it, if you look at a cell and you explode that cell and take everything that's inside the cell, which is DNA,
Right.
he has put that into a synthetic polymer that's extruded like the thickness of a grain of a hair, human hair. That's the root. And we only need less than 3-inch piece of that to go in the ground near the plant root to pick up the electronic signals that are being given off by the plant. And then through Bluetooth, those signals are conveyed back to the computer. So it can be implemented in one of two ways. The root can actually be attached to the seed in the mass planters when they're sowing the seeds into the ground, or it can be added after via robot or drone or human that just punches a quick punch into by every plant to put a small piece in. They don't have to be connected because they communicate vis-a-vis the Bluetooth. So every plant in the field can actually send their signals into the computer.
Wow, that's mind blowing.
And here's the kicker, Kelly.
Yeah.
In the lab, it saved over 97% of water and fertilizer use with no pesticides. So think of the implications of that globally in agriculture. This is going to open up agriculture in areas like the Middle East and Africa, even in the United States, where water is a limiting factor in growing plants. So it's fabulous technology that has the ability to not only be a game changer in agriculture, but also in aquaculture and in environmental remediation, because we can use plants as basically sponges to uptake nutrients from the water and soil. So in areas which I first became interested in, which is our Florida Everglades, which has been very polluted by agriculture and chemicals, Josh has the ability through the root system to be able to have the plant take up 5 to 10 times more nutrients than it normally would. So these plants are basically sacrificial sponges that clean the water and the soil, and then are not only disposed of, but can be ground down, and those nutrients can be recycled back into fertilizers. So it's a complete cycle that can remediate a lot of very bad pollution throughout the world.
And that would also save the farmer in the long run of purchasing the fertilizer that's normally imported from other countries. I know there's a lot of talk about trade and tariffs these days. That would almost nix out the need to purchase fertilizer from an outside source. Is that what you're saying? So it's completely an eco system. You call it is it called eco-stoic, if I remember correctly?
Eco-stoic is a term, but yeah, Ecophilic is the company, but yeah, eco-stoic. And it's basically saving not only the farmer, but also saving the environment that farming is around, because the analogy that Josh uses is it's kind of like the normal fertilization and watering process, and pesticide for that matter, on a farm is analogous to us taking a shower, right? A fraction of the water hits our body and most of it goes down the drain. And that's exactly what happens in the agriculture space too, with the water and fertilizer. Most of it is going into the ground, into the aquifer, into the near shore waters, which causes, pollution. And so it's a two-edged sword.
Wow, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So where is this system of technology being used right now? Is it here in the United States? Is it in Europe? Are you testing this system in different geographic regions of the world to see and test to see how well it is operating? Or, educate our viewers, because I know nothing about this. This is wonderful.
Sure. So the technology's been robustly tested through multiple trials in the laboratory. And now we're actually raising capital for the seed round of funding to be able to put it into the field. And the field testing is going to be, 0.5 to 1 acre plots in 3 completely different environments. We're doing one in the targeted preliminary basis in the United States, one in the Middle East, and one in Indonesia. So we're looking at 3 different habitats to test it out environmentally. And then from there, hopefully the world will be the oyster at that point in time to deploy it.
That's amazing. And when I think about all the different regions of the world that I have visited, and I read in the news about, coffee prices are going to rise. The price of cocoa is going to rise because of all different factors. But however, if you can put this technology into the coffee plants and the cocoa plants, this could actually save those crops. And would this also help different products such as grapes for wine? Because of climatic change, their needs are different for certain grapes. Is it possible that the plant will say, it's too cold for me, do something to warm me up? I mean, it sounds pretty elementary, but you see where I'm going with this.
Great point, Kelly, because that's one of the crops I was going to mention is grapes and vineyards, right? So what's important to vineyards is they have varying degrees of quality of the grapes based on the climate, based on the soil. And you have those years where the wine is just phenomenal, and then might have 3 years where it's just mediocre. So just think of a technology that can duplicate the polyphenols and the different compounds within the grape that make that year ideal and carry that forward for other years. The implications are tremendous in terms of the quality of product, right? That can be produced in that. And likewise, you mentioned things like coffee. We can have the ability to increase productivity in the product in terms of the speed, the quality, and the nutritional content, which is, tremendous, because right now our food supply, our topsoil is gone. So everything that's grown is grown based on fertilizer. And the quality, quite frankly, is very poor. I mean, they tell you that, to get the same amount of iron that you received in one bowl of spinach in the 1950s, you have to eat 7 bowls today. And so nobody eats 7 bowls of spinach. So, these type of minerals and vitamins we're all deficient in the quality of the food that we have. So it's quality and quantity together are very, very important.
And this would help the small farms in third world countries where water is very scarce, raw materials to put food on their table are scarce. This would truly help a mass population, a global population, and take it a little further. As humans, I'm sure we're going to be populating the moon or different planets. Certainly, they've got their eyeballs on Mars and Jupiter. This system could actually work as well in other environments. If they were controlled environments, the same technology applies no matter where in the universe we would be.
Well, yes and no. I mean, certainly you're going to need water. You're going to need water either in the atmosphere or available to you to have the plant growth and the technology to work. But yes, it would open up tremendous areas. And as a matter of fact, we're applying for a grant that's available now to test out space agriculture. Wow. So it goes right to your point that's being looked at right now is, can we utilize outer space to grow more food?
Wow. All right. Well, get ready, people. So let's segue to another huge issue that's first and foremost in the world of agriculture globally, I think, and you educate me and our viewers on this. Funding seems to be an issue. Farmers don't really make all that much of an income, especially small farmers. What's happening in terms of farmers and agriculture technologies such as you're describing? how do they receive funding? Please explain the world of funding for agriculture, aquaculture, because many of us don't know what it is for a farmer or a technology to get to the point where they have the funding so that they can put food on our tables. Please, it's an important piece of what's going on our plate at the end of the day.
It sure is, Kelly. It's more important than most people know right now, because we are potentially heading to food shortages over the next 20 years if a lot of these great technologies aren't put in play, with population skyrocketing to 9 billion on the planet. So traditionally farming has been a generational business that's been passed along from father to son to grandchild. It's a lifestyle that farmers embraced, getting up early, hard work, not making a lot of money, high risk. And from an investment standpoint, farming has always been high risk, low margin.
Mm-hmm.
You have weather conditions, you have disease, you have a whole bunch of factors, the market. And so it's been shunned by a lot of institutional capital because of that. Institutional capital really wants large returns on their investment, and for good reason. So what we're trying to do is bring an awareness to institutional capital and to humanity in general of how critical agriculture is to our existence. Most people don't realize that they go in the supermarket and all the food is just there. It appears there. But there's a lot that goes into that, a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, a lot of money. And we're trying to bring that awareness in, and also to couple both sides of technology with the small and medium and large farmer, but mostly small and medium farmer, that can use technology to reduce risk, to increase production, to reduce any type of environmental conditions, to lower the risk. So kind of lower that risk and increase the profit margin, so they're a little better prepared for capital. And that was the type of awareness that we're trying to bring to the industry, and also to talk to institutions and capital and government agencies about how critical it is that we come up with programs to be able to fund great ideas and great farms in the ag space, because it's critical to our food supply and our future.
And what's the response that you're receiving in general? Is it generally well accepted and appreciated, or is there some sort of pushback? And the large conglomerates, large companies that own mass tracts of land for large scale agriculture, where do they come into play with all this?
The response so far has been great. I think we're in the transitional stage, right, of them people receiving information, especially institutional capital. I mean, their objective in their funds is to make money for their shareholders, and we all understand that. So it's about, again, combining farming and technology together so that we can show institutions that they can still make respectable capital gains on agriculture and technology operations. And I should mention, they are very not only intrigued, but investing in the technology sector. Ag tech and climate tech and deep tech, which Ecophilic is hits all of those buttons, but they're very interested in those technologies. It's just being able to put the application of those into the field and get the funding to the farmer at the end of the day, as well as the technologies. Because at the end of the day, it's not the technology that's going to actually be physically growing that product and dedicating that land. It's going to be the farmer. So we have to come up with a way to be able to do that. And I think the response has been very good, but we have a way to go. We've got a way to go. We have to bring in the public and the private sector. We have to bring in government to be able to, to provide some of this early stage grant and loan funding in a more fluid fashion to farming, given the impact it has on our society. That has to be opened up.
And speaking about the public, our audience is quite the educated public, concerned with social, cultural issues. I call this intelligent entertainment. But for those who are sitting watching the show right now, thinking about what they're going to have for lunch or dinner per se, and might be thinking twice about this, what can the average person do? What action can they take to create more awareness of this need for clean technologies? If you don't mind me using that phrase, what can they do? Write to the congressman? What do they do? What does the average person do to help?
They can absolutely write to their state and local government to promote local agriculture. I can tell you in our county here in Palm Beach County in Florida, we've seen a huge reduction in agriculture. We had an area that was over 1,000 acres in the agriculture reserve, and over time, municipalities want tax dollars, so those lands are converted into residential communities, and agricultural land continues to drop. So I think there's a multi-faceted approach. I think the public can obviously write to their local and state government officials and encourage them to support state agriculture, but also at the marketplace. I think people can support these local farms at your local farmers market, buying organic. And I know it's more expensive, but the pasture raised, the free range, these are all farms that are trying to really walk the walk of creating healthier foods. And I know, it's something that not everyone can afford. The Whole Foods and the fresh markets are very expensive, but even the local farmers markets a lot of times are even cheaper than the supermarket because they don't have to go through a distributor. So they're selling from the farm to the public. And the farm to table modality has really become popular over the last 5 years. People are supporting that because they know they can get, fresh is key. If you go in and buy a tomato that's been sitting in the market for 3 weeks, it was picked green, it was picked as hard as a rock, there's no flavor. But you go to a local farmer's market that they've picked it the day before to bring to the farmer's market, it has the flavor and the taste that you'd expect from a tomato or strawberry. So there's multiple benefits there.
Well, there's the expression, there's nothing like a homegrown tomato and mother's love, if you remember that one. But I'll say this, whenever I can, I visit the local farmers market down here in Bluffton, South Carolina. But what I really miss about not being back in Europe is in Europe, any given day of the week, you go with your market basket and you go to a little village. And, this fellow, he grows the chickens, so he's got the best poulet rôti. Another town on, say, a Wednesday, that farmer has the best sheep's cheese, or the olives on a Sunday in Sosorg in France. You mark the days that you go to shop. And I think a problem that we have here in the United States is maybe lack of education of diversity of an array of foods, the accessibility to a wide variety of foods, but also we're always working, it seems, here in the States. No one really goes to the farmer's market unless they have the lifestyle where they can go. But I have always found any produce, whatever it is that I purchase from a farmer's market, I go home, it smells great, it tastes great, it's fresh. Cooking becomes so much more enjoyable, but I tend to eat less food when my produce and my meats, my fish, my eggs my cheeses when they come from the farmer's market. And I don't know why that is, maybe because it tastes so good or the nutrients are better, but I tend to eat a smaller plate of food when I do purchase it from a farm stand or the farmer's market. Or we have down here, I'm sure you have it also in Florida, where they bring in a local farmer that has the collards, the kale, or what have you. And it's always divine. I mean, it's always so fresh. So I'm just saying, everyone should do their part if they can to support the local farmer and talk to them. Even if you don't purchase anything at the farmer's market, maybe it's too much for you, buy one apple and share it. Buy one tomato and share it amongst you and whoever you're having a meal with, and savor the flavor. Talk to the farmers, talk to the people who have the honey, who are producing honey. Talk to the person who is making the saucisson or the jerky or the bacon. Speak to the people who have the eggs and find out, what do the chickens look like? What's a day in their life? Or as a past guest, your friend Eamon, mutual friend of ours, says, talk to a farmer, go spend a day on a farm and see what the life of a farmer is for a day. So we're going to be right back from a word from our sponsor, and we'll have more from my very special guest, Ernest Papadoyianis. So we'll be right back.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Many Purple Hats, MPH, Vroom! Get noticed online, stand out from the crowd, differentiate yourself from all that white noise. Vroom!
Welcome back to The Kelley Show, where my special guest, Mr. Ernest Papadoyianis, will continue with me. Our conversation is really, really important today. How does the food actually arrive on your table? And Ernest, thank you again for coming on to the show today. It's just been so amazing. But I want to touch base with you on a few points. One, let's talk about quality of food, what a person should look at when they go to the supermarket in terms of labeling and mass production. Please share with us.
Sure. Huge issue, Kelly. As we've recently, heard on TV now, there's a big push to clean up our food supply. And it is, I hate to say, but it is horrible. It's horrible from the standpoint of the amount of chemicals that we allow in our food in this country. And I had a good friend of mine who grew up in Norway, and they were saying how, their normal guidelines for agriculture are above our organic standards here. We have to be able to move away from things like GMO, these chemicals like glyphosate, all the array of approved pesticides that we're using on these crops. And I know in mass production, may need to use those to keep mass production in business, but the problem with that is that we are ingesting so many toxins through our food supply. Is it worth producing all that food if what you're producing is going to be toxic? And to me, it's not. So like you said before, very, very wisely, it's better to buy that apple that's clean and share it. Maybe eat a little bit less of it, but eat quality. So when you go to the store, look for those things that we mentioned before, that are the companies that are doing it right, that aren't using all those chemicals in the food supply as best you can. I mean, sometimes it's tough, but the foods that you're getting that are processed and the ingredient list is this long, move away from those. It's not healthy. It's processed. And when you can, try to go to those local farmers markets and buy the local produce, because it's as you said, tastier, more nutritious, and helps support local small farmers.
All right. Well, you're going to come back at another date with some other guests who are also experts in their own lane within the agriculture space. And we're going to have a special panel discussion. And I can't wait for that. But I just want to say one thing here as a physician. What I have seen when I was in private practice over the years, the issues people have, or patients have had with eating GMO foods and what herbicides and pesticides actually do to the intestinal system of humans. And that's another conversation for another day. We could talk for days on end about that. But if anyone is curious why non-GMO is very important for your health, go and do a little bit of research, and then you'll find out why when you eat pre-made pasta here in the United States, where the wheat comes from an industrialized farm, gives you a wicked stomach ache. Whereas you don't understand why when you go over to Europe, you can eat as much bread and as much pasta as you want till the cows come home, as the saying goes, and you are not getting that stomach ache, or you're not getting those horrible cramps. You don't have to take those medications prior to eating those products that you would have to partake in if you had those food products here in the United States. It's very interesting. It's very provocative. Some people out there won't like me saying this, but you should really look into non-GMO and watch where you purchase your wheat. Look where it's from. Look where it's coming from. Look where the pasta is made. What is the country of origin? And then you'll understand. Do a side-by-side test. One day eat the pasta that the wheat is grown in the US, and one day eat the pasta that the wheat is grown in Italy. And you come back and you tell me about it. Right into the chat. But anyway, Ernest, I want to thank you so much for being on the show, but we have one last question for you.
Sure.
And it's our tradition on the Kelley Show. If you could name one person, place, thing, or experience that you're thankful or grateful for, who or what would it be? Please share with us.
Well, Kelly, of course, privately, of course, the birth of my children would have to be first and foremost. But from a business perspective, I was blessed to have a phenomenal partner for 23 years that we engaged in the aquaculture space together. We developed technologies together. Our fish farming company, we took our companies public together. We traveled the world and spoke together on different sustainabilities and technology. And he was my mentor coming up the ropes, a fabulous businessman. And I was blessed to have his guidance and skills to help me throughout there. And that leads into what I try to do today with my clients, which is protect them, provide guidance. Anybody can get to where I am. It's only about experience, right? If you want to spend 30 years, 35 years doing something, you can learn the ropes, but why spend that time when you can engage with a mentor that can shorten that time frame and prevent a lot of wasted time, money, and effort in doing something? So I think that's very important, and it's what I look to do as well.
Well, because he was so influential in your life, and sounds like he was a very dear friend, please share his name with our audience so we know who we can give that credit to. Yes,
it was Mr. Sal Church.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sal Church.
For 30 years now.
Wow. God bless. God bless. Well, Ernest, thank you very, very much for being a guest on the show. And to our viewers, if you would like to reach out to Ernest, we have his contact information up here. Please reach out to him if you are a farmer and you are curious, need information about funding. If you are interested in becoming involved with these technologies, if you like to have Ernest contracted to speak at your event, he is available. We have his contact information up here. Please do reach out to him. And Ernest, once again, I want to thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to have you. Thank you. Thank you. And I can't wait for the panel discussion, because I'm just going to MC and I'm just going to get off the camera and let you folks rock and roll, because I definitely want to be in the room for that conversation. So thank you again. And if you would like to be on The Kelley Show, please write us. We have the contact information up here. Send in your name, contact information, your story, more importantly, why you would like to share it on The Kelley Show, and we will have a conversation. But stay tuned for next week when we continue our month of the state of global agriculture, who and what is putting the food on your table. And don't forget to subscribe today to the Kelley channel, right there, YouTube channel, The Kelley Show, real people with real stories in real time. And we will see you next week for another amazing, amazing episode. It's getting better and better, so share with your friends, your network, and we'll see you next time. Gareth, take it away.
If you would like to be a guest on The Kelley Show, send us an email with your contact information, where in the world you are, and a brief description of the story you'd like to share today.